Hi, this is John Williams, one-star Presidential Director with GIA Wellness. Over this last few months, I've had the pleasure of hosting the GIA Wellness Review presentation, where each week I'm able to interview our consultants and our customers about how the GIA Wellness products have affected their lives and how the GIA lifestyle has really changed the way they see their future. In this video that you're about to watch, I've put together a compilation of iWater activation system stories. These are amazing stories of true life situations that people are experiencing with our products. I hope you enjoy listening to the stories from people who are absolutely passionate about the GIA Wellness products and the GIA Wellness lifestyle. Thanks for tuning in. Leslie Valentine, she's from Portland, Oregon. She's an acupuncturist and building a GIA team, and she's so passionate about our products. So Leslie, I'm bringing you on with us. Hey, how are you?
I'm well, John. Thanks for asking me to come and talk about one of my favorite parts of GIA.
Well, I'm glad you can make it. I love your flowers in the background. Way to
I
go.
got them for you.
Thank you. Hey, could you take a couple minutes and just talk to us a little bit about iWater, some of your experiences with maybe yourself or people you work with?
Well, sure. I was thinking about it today a little bit, and I think what I wanted to share with people is my experience coming into GIA. My first experience with the iWater was pretty astounding. I found it hydrating, but it was the taste, it was the feeling. I kept asking for more. Please, could I have some more? Please, could I have some more? And the sense of being hydrated, we use that word, but it's this, it's something that just spread through my body. And I wanted more of the water. I mean, I knew immediately I wanted more water. What I didn't know I was going to get was more energy. And I didn't know that was going to lead to a kind of motivation that I can't, like I often say about GIA, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I can tell you that it's there. In the same way that people talk about acupuncture, can't quite put their finger on it, but they know something changed. And then down the line, they can kind of experience what the change was. The iWater is similar in that way for me, in my experience. And that motivation that emerged out of feeling more energy let me really commit to changing what I was eating, changing how I saw my body and how I felt. And from last year, which is roughly when I came into GIA, it was in late July, to now, a year later, I'm 30 pounds lighter. I am passionate about GIA, of course, for those reasons, but I had no idea that the wonderful water would lead to the motivation, the energy, and to something else which I know we'll talk about a little bit, which is the inspiration part of GIA. Something shifted in me, and I became willing to engage that yoga self that I had left behind some 20 or 30 years ago. It really, I often say, and we hear it in these things, the products work synergistically. Right. There's something about them. You know, I do give it to my patients, to people who see me for acupuncture. I hear their responses, often that sense of, wow, I didn't realize I wasn't hydrated. Now I know I wasn't. You know, I often will hear a sense that they didn't know what was missing until they got it. Yeah. So I can't say enough about the iWater, and thanks for keeping me to a few short minutes.
Well, I know we could go further, but I'm glad you said it that way, because the way I look at it, we never know what's going to happen to someone who drinks iWater, because so many good things happen. And the fact, I mean, just look at what happened to you. Who knew you would lose 30 pounds, have the energy to, I don't know, just get back into life almost, it sounds like. But it's a great story, and I'm glad you told it that way. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, John. Thanks for asking.
Well, what I want to do now, I want to go to our first special guest, and he's become a really good friend of mine. His name is Dave Staff from Sonora, California. He's a presidential director with GIA. He's a health practitioner, a realtor, an entrepreneur, and someone who absolutely loves GIA products. And I know, Dave, I want to welcome you to our call, and I know you have a real passion for iWater. I was wondering if you could spend a couple of minutes telling us maybe how iWater has affected you, or maybe some other people that you've helped with iWater.
I'd love to, John. How is it there in hot Vegas? 117. That's crazy.
It's crazy. But hey, Dave, it's a dry heat. It's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat. Okay, yeah, I hear that story, right? I'd love to share my iWater stories with you, and I've got 3 really quick stories. I won't take more than 15 minutes. That's, you said to keep it short, so I'm happy to do that. First story is about a really dear friend of ours that 76 years old. At the time, her name is ML, really sweet little old lady who loved to swim. You could not keep her out of the pool. The pool at the gym is heated, so this lady would swim in December. The only problem was she had half of her intestines removed. When you have half of your intestines removed, you've got issues with absorption. She would swim until her body would start to cramp, and she would have people always there to help her out of the water at that point. She was actually known as the cramp lady. Well, we found out, we had a little chat with her about the possibilities of what our technology and the iWater can do. She got a pendant and she got iWater. She started drinking the iWater, and I've got to tell you, within 2 days, she wasn't cramping. She could swim as long as she wanted. Nobody needed to help her get out of that pool, and she hasn't cramped since. That's a phenomenal. And you can take somebody who loves something as much as like swimming, and she can do it now as long as she wants. I love that story. It's phenomenal. Second story, about me, all about me. Before I had my knee surgery, I had total knee replacement. My knee, I would do things to it, and it would swell and become very discomfortable to me. And I would take a garbage bag, lay it down on either the bed or my couch, soak a towel in iWater, and wrap it around my knee. I'd lay there for 20 minutes, and because iWater helps to reduce inflammation in the body, my swelling would go down and my discomfort would go away every single time in 20 minutes of just wrapping that thing around my body. Hydration is an amazing resource. Third story, my happiest story, is about my dad. My dad was diagnosed with a condition, skin condition around his legs. They were itchy, scaly, scabby, very uncomfortable. So talked to him about iWater, got him an iWater system about the first week of October, and we went to see him on Thanksgiving, about 6 weeks later. And I'm here to tell you, I saw his legs. There were no scabs. It wasn't itchy. The inflammation had gone away. The condition had gone away, and he was loving it. I got to tell you, there is no better joy to help a family member get their health back, get their calmness back. So those are my stories, John. Didn't even take 15 minutes, so there.
Dave, you're so funny all the time. Dave, I was going to ask you, when something happens to us, it's really good and we enjoy that. But isn't it just so much more enjoyable when you're able to help someone else with iWater?
Oh, holy smokes! That is my main purpose. My main goal is helping others have a better quality of life. It's not quantity of life, it's quality of life. And GIA technology and products brings a quality to your life.
Well, what I want to do now is I want to bring on our first special guest, and I'm so excited that we have this opportunity to share, and talk with Karen Knott from Santa Clarita, California. And Karen, I was thinking about introducing you, but I couldn't tell everybody what you do because you do so many things. I know you're a grandma and a mom.
That's right.
You have something like 5 different businesses. Is that correct? Somewhere in there?
I'm trying to whittle it down.
Well, I know you're very busy, and I certainly appreciate you for joining us tonight. Can you help us better understand the power of iWater?
I can. I'm really excited, John, to share these stories with you because they not only changed these people's lives, but it changed me. So one of the jobs I have is I work in a credit union a couple days a week. And I was in there one day, and this gal came in, and she was holding her eye, and her eye was just totally red and inflamed, and she was in a lot of pain. And she told me she'd just come from her ophthalmologist, and he said everything was okay. And I said, well, I guess that's good news, but it didn't look great. And so we sprayed it with some iWater. And then we just went on, and I completed her transaction. And at the end of it, she said, what is that water? My eye feels better than it's felt in 3 weeks. And so I began to share a little bit about the water, and I always have some there. So I said, here, take this home, and if you come back the next day I'm working, I'll bring you some. And so she did. And so she took the water home, and it was about 2 weeks later, and she came back And it was one of those moments where you think you know somebody, and I was sending her water for her eye, but she proceeded to tell me that she'd been sick for a really long time, and it was one of those issues where she had zero vitality, zero energy, and then her joints started, she was in excruciating pain with all of her joints to where she almost couldn't get out of bed. And it actually, she had to quit her job. So then following that, there was all this depression because she just went from, you know, living a normal life to this. And I'm going to share this little story she shared with me because it's a visual that I've kept with me for like years. She said she was so sick, but she was invited to a wedding she really wanted to go to. So she just like forced herself, drug herself to the store, and all, maybe you men can't relate to this, but the women can. And she said, all I wanted to do was get a new blouse. And she said she was so weak and in so much pain, she couldn't take her hand and move the hangers on the rack. And she just left the store, you know, crawled back to her car, went home, and she said the deepest depression took her over. And she said, and it's lifting. It's just lifting, and I can't even tell you what that feels like. And I was just like ecstatic for her and sent her home with the last water I provided before she got her own unit. And she came back in about a week or two later, and she was doing this. And I thought, is that some new way to say hi to me? And she said, every week, my joints are getting better. It's a process, but every single week. So I've always remembered her story. And then just another quick one, I met this mom and daughter. The daughter was 13. And the mom was telling me that her daughter had, again, one of these issues where the fatigue is just overwhelming. And the issue that she had, her daughter just slept all the time. And so she was falling asleep in school. And finally the school said, okay, this is way too disruptive. We can't have this. You need to homeschool your daughter. And when the mom told me that, I thought, not only did I feel bad for the daughter because she's 13 and she didn't want to leave school, but not everybody's like prepared to just start homeschooling their kids. Now, I don't personally think it's a perfect fit for everybody. So I felt really bad for both of them. So I said, look, I got this water. You can try it. I don't know if it'll help, but I know it won't hurt. 3 weeks later, the mom said it was like 10 or 11 at night, and they realized they were sitting up together awake on the couch watching TV or something. And 6 weeks later, that little girl was back in school, and the only thing different they did was the water. So I think that was my moment of realization of just how powerful what we have is. And I know tonight we're going to share more of the whole story of GIA, but I think I just want to end this with saying to everybody, just go with reckless abandon and share what we have, because you never know whose life you can really impact in a powerful way.
The person I'm going to introduce, somebody asked me the other day, well, what does Kim do? And I said, well, Kim Harrington, she's a senior director with our company, so she helps a lot of people with our products. And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, you know what? The only thing I think of is she's a cowgirl. And Kim, is that a good description of who you are? I mean, you live up in the mountains in Wyoming, and I know you herd cattle and you ride horses. Would that be a good description?
That would probably be a fair assumption of what I prefer to spend my time doing. Of course, I do have a job 3 days a week, so I go to work in an office, but I work for myself, so when I need to go herd cows, I can always move my clients and go herd cows.
That cracks me up. Well, could you take a couple of minutes and tell us a little bit about how iWater has affected you, or maybe some of the people that you've helped to learn about iWater?
Well, I would love to share my little story with you, and it's kind of because I like to spend time in the mountains and out in the woods and on my horse that I even found this incredible company. And it all started back in 2005. I was spending a lot of time out camping and riding my horse in the mountains, and I got that nice little tick-borne illness that is very common now and very devastating to people's health. And I became very, very ill. And I spent 2.5, 3 years doing extremely hardcore antibiotics. And it's hard to even say whether or not that helped me, because I got to a point where I couldn't do any more antibiotics. I couldn't do anything. And so I stopped and just thought I need to try to recover from what I've been putting my body through. And lo and behold, I got another little tick-borne illness from spending too much time out chasing cows in the sagebrush. And that one earned me a life flight, and I'm very lucky that I survived it. And I was extremely ill. I came about as close to dying as you can come without actually doing it. And because of my stubborn nature, I was told 2 years before my life flight and 2 years after about this iWater, and I still didn't quite see the big picture until one night I went to a meeting and I really learned about what iWater is all about. So I bought an iWater system in December, and one of the things I dealt with, amongst having a chronic rash over 80% of my body, swollen joints, vision problems, brain fog, memory problems, I was pretty much what I would consider going through system failure. And I used to tell people I'd rather have a knee replacement or an ACL surgery once a year than dealing with what I was dealing with. I was extremely sick. And so I got introduced to iWater in December. I started drinking it, and on the 5th day of drinking iWater, the extreme fatigue that I had been dealing with literally disappeared overnight. I got up one morning and I no longer was dealing with the fatigue, and I thought, there must be something really to this water. And so I continued to drink it, and within 4 to 5 months, all of my symptoms disappeared. My swollen joints went away. The rash that was covering over 80% of my body went away. My vision cleared up. My vision looked like when you look through a wall of water, like a waterfall, like what you guys have out there in Vegas. That's what I was looking through, and that cleared up. I started to regain my memory, and I started to be able to actually exercise again. So about 4 to 5 months of drinking iWater, and all of the really serious symptoms that I had been dealing with literally went away. And that was 4.5 years ago. And even though I'm quite a bit older now than I was when I first got all my illnesses that were associated with the ticks, I am in way better condition. I'm way healthier now than I was 20 years ago. And I feel better, and I have incredible energy. So I can truly say that the iWater has not only given me back my life, it's really given me back everything that I thought that I would never have again. So it's really been a blessing for me.
Hey, it's John Williams coming to you from my home office in Henderson, Nevada, and I am on a Zoom call with Senior Director Tracy Hillis from Utopia, Texas, and we've been having a blast talking about GIA products. So I thought I'd do a quick recording to just find out from Tracy what her favorite product or products are and what kind of response she's had from those products. So Tracy, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good, John. How are you?
I'm doing great. Glad you were able to do this. I'm just curious. If someone said to you, Tracy, what's your favorite product? What would you say?
I would say my favorite GIA product is the iWater, without a doubt. It has totally changed my life, and I can't live without it.
Now, that's the product that got you interested in the first place, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
How did that all happen?
Well, I was doing all the right things. I was drinking lots of water, good bottled water or filtered water, and I just found myself continually dehydrated and thirsty all the time. And even though I was doing everything right, it was just, I was worn out. And my brother-in-law introduced me to the iWater, and I started drinking it in 2 weeks. I noticed a huge difference in how I felt. My skin started clearing up. I had energy, and I just started feeling really great. And I have to attribute that to the iWater.
Mm-hmm. And I remember there's a picture of your mom. Can you tell that story really quick?
That is my funnest story to tell. I just heard all these claims about how it was helping our cells and to stay young and vibrant looking. And so my mom was going to Colorado for the summer. And so I sent the system with her and had my dad take her picture whenever they got there. And I said, just drink the iWater with that good Colorado water. And when you come home in 6 months, we're going to take your picture again and just see if there's any change. And I don't know what's going to happen. We're just going to see what's going to happen. And when she came home, she was really excited. She says, take my picture. Let's take my picture. So we did. I took her picture. And, of course, I hadn't seen her in 6 months. And so when we put the pictures, compared them on the computer, we were just blown away. I mean, the results that we saw with her, she had wrinkles and some indentions on her face, and after 7 months or 6 months, no wrinkles. I mean, they had just completely disappeared all down the side of her face, like it had taken at least 10 years off her life. It was awesome.
Now, did you say that was just from drinking it? That wasn't even spraying, right?
No, not at the time. She was just drinking the iWater. That's all.
Hey, you know what? I really appreciate you for taking the time to do this. It's our first real video testimonial. We're going to be doing a lot more of these and posting them on our testimonial site. So appreciate you for that. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the video, and I'll talk to you in a minute.
It was fun. Thank you.